Hey everyone, and welcome back to another modix video. In today's video, we are going to be making a Valorant agents tier list for patch 1.04. So I already made one in the past, and a ton of people didn't really like that I set limits to how many agents could go into each tier. So luckily, this will not have any limits. And before you guys get all pissed off that like no agents should be in D tier, I'm just trying to rank them, and I feel like the tiers help show that. So it's not that they're actually a D tier agent, it's just that right now at the current state of the game, they're just not optimal, and I just don't think that they're a great agent. So let's go ahead and start with that. And I already know I'm gonna get haters in the comments for this, but Jet's going to D. Okay, she is only good with the op, and I think that the op meta is going to go away pretty soon, so I don't think she's going to be viable after that. So I'm putting her in D tier right now. She's the worst duelist in the game. She doesn't really have like too many abilities that can really help her teammates. She does have the smokes, and I'll give you guys that. The smokes are pretty good, but her other abilities are updraft and dash, and you can't be aggressive with them. They're just a disengage. And so I'm just going to put her into D tier, and we're going to move on. So our next agent is going to be Reyna, and she's going into C tier. I think in my last video, I might have put Reyna in like A tier, but now I'm realizing that right now it's so easy to pop off with Reyna in the lower levels though. Because as soon as you get into the higher levels, you're not going to be dropping those 30 kill games, or most likely you won't be. I mean, I guess you can still somewhat pop off, but she's great for the lower level games. She's just not that great in higher levels, and you have to get kills with her in order for her to be good. And with that, I think she deserves a C tier rank here. So she's going to be our second to worst duelist in this video. Now let's go with Phoenix. I'm placing Phoenix in C tier, and right now I just don't see too many team abilities with him. Like, he has his flashes, and that's probably his best part about him. He can flash out of smokes, and it would be great. But it's similar to every other flash in the game. Like, why don't you just use somebody else? Like, let's say you have Breach, who's going to be placed into a higher tier. He's able to flash as well, but he's also able to clear out areas. And we'll get into that later. But I'm putting Phoenix here because he's a pretty solo-minded agent. That's all I'm going to be putting into C tier, though. So now we're going to put Race. And, I mean, we just put all of our duelists as the worst agents in the game. I honestly feel like duelists are really special because you have to be good with them in order to frag out, and that's your job. So if you get good at these agents, then they can change. But I'm just going on like a basic level, like not really thinking about, oh, if you're insane with Jet, then she's amazing. Nah, we're going at a basic level. So I place Raze here at B tier because she's the best duelist right now. And even though she did experience a small nerf in patch 1.04, I still feel like it stays that way. Right now, her ultimate caused 7 ultimate points, and that's not really too big of a nerf. Like, you'll still end up getting the ultimate in the end, but you just get it limited amount of times now. And I feel like Raze really thrives with the new satchel movement that Flight's found, because you can easily just catch opponents off guard because you're flying through the air. They have their crosshair on head level, and as soon as you go above that, they're not even going to notice you. Sure, they're going to hear your sound, but it's going to be too late by then. And then she's also really good at forcing players out of positions with her utility. So she has those nades, and she has those boom bots, and then also her blast packs. And you can just basically get players to reveal themselves by forcing them out of a location or shooting the actual utility. I'm talking about the blast packs and the boom bot, because you can't actually shoot the blast packs. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. But now moving on, we're going to go ahead and place Breach B tier. And honestly, he used to be like A tier or low S tier for some players, but I just don't think that Breach has found his spot yet. This definitely will change as soon as that happens, but I just don't see Breach being like so overpowered like everybody talks about. He has great abilities to force players out, but he should basically be thriving in this op meta, and it's not happening. So I'm kind of questioning if he's really that good, or if people were just hyping him up for no reason. So now moving on to Sova, we're placing him at the highest tier in B tier. And this is just because he's so good at getting intel. You can find out exactly where players are, but the arrows can be shot. So if the players you're playing against have good reaction times, then you're not going to get too much info out of it. Like, Sure, if somebody shoots the arrow, then at least one's there. But if only one person shoots, then you only know that one's there, and there could be a full team and you would never know. He's also really vulnerable while using his ultimate and his drone. Whenever the ultimate's popped, it's so loud for Sova. You can just run up to him and basically, like, you might even be able to get a knife if he can't see you coming. But it's going to be so easy. Like, that's how I've been really countering Sova. Whenever I hear that ultimate pop, I go ahead and just sprint on a site. Especially if there's nobody else around him. You just sprint up to him, you tap him in the head, and it's the end of the day. And then finally, just my last point on Sova. If the Sova knows lineups, then he's good. But most people don't. They just take that arrow, they fling it up in the air and hope for it to land. And I don't think players are putting in the right effort with Sova in order to make him a higher tier. So now we're going to put Viper in A tier. You guys are probably like, well, what are you doing? But trust me, I think Viper is soon to shine in Valorant. She used to be the worst agent in the game, but she got a huge buff in patch 1.04. One-ways is a separate topic, and I mean, her one-ways are pretty insane, and they will stay in this game because the devs have already said that they want Viper to have her one-ways. This makes her more of a controller agent, and it really helps when you're holding sites alone. You can just pop that one way and players are going to be scared to push through, especially with the new changes. If they run through, they don't regen for 2.5 seconds, and that's enough time for you to just tap them in the head, shoot a couple body shots. You don't even have to have good crosshair placement if they push through. Of course, it's going to be easier to survive and you won't die as much, but you can theoretically just shoot them in a body a couple times after they just took some damage with your utility. So another reason why I put her here was because that players just can't push through the smokes unless they want to die. And now a huge change that we got, the ultimate can now be played outside of. So you used to have to only be outside for 5 seconds before the ultimate would actually go down. But now you can stay out for a total of 12 seconds, which is pretty crazy because that's more than double. And I just feel like Viper's really finding her spot. I was watching the PAX Arena tournament and I was watching Cloud9 Tenz's perspective, and he was constantly asking his team if he should go Viper. And I think that that's a good sign for how Viper is going to end up. And hopefully she makes a name for herself in Valorant because, like I said, she used to be the worst agent, but now I really feel like she's going to get better. So our next agent that I want to put into A tier is going to be Brimstone. I think that he does belong higher than Viper because we know how he plays. He used to be like that high A tier, low S tier, but I feel like all the other agents are really catching up to him. It's not that he's getting worse, so to say, even though he did experience a nerf in patch 1.04, just the same as Raze. His ultimate just got the ultimate points are now, there's more required, so now instead of 6 you need 7. But I really don't think that's too big of a change. I mean, you can still now like not get a single kill, and on the 7th round, as soon as you get spike planted or you want to block somebody off, you just kind of put your ultimate down on the spike and you should win the round. So that's why I really like him on my team, and he's one of the best controller agents in the game. I mean, smokes are awesome when pushing onto site, and one thing that I don't really like about him right now is that stim beacons now can't be seen by the opposing players. So now you can't like really bait them, because like you used to just be able to throw them in random places and just confuse the life out of the other team, but now you can't do that. And I mean, it's not that big of a deal. He still is really high on the tier list, but that's why I'm gonna just stick him at A and call it a day. So moving on, our last agent in A tier is gonna be Omen. Now Omen smokes are pretty much insane. I still don't play Omen, and I don't know if this is my lack of playing him, but I still feel like the screen that shows up to place the smokes are a bit weird. I don't know how players don't get shot whenever they're using it. I guess you just have to go quick, and I mean, as soon as you practice it, you're gonna learn more. But I just feel like once players are able to master that, then the smokes are just insane, and they can do it pretty much every single time. And the real key to have a great Omen player is that the players have to play unpredictable. They can get into positions to easily kill opponents if they do this, and they can easily go for some insane plays. if you're looking to improve like your Omen gameplay, I definitely recommend checking out Flex Ninja, because he's really made a name for himself as one of the best Omen players in the world. And so this is why I'm going to put Omen as our best controller. He has those smokes, he has paranoia, which is great for really stopping the push and hopefully picking up a few frags along the way. So now our next agent is going into S tier, and it's going to be Sage. And I don't think that Sage is the best agent in Valorant anymore. You guys know, of course, Cypher is going to, of course, go to S tier as well as the top. But we're talking about Sage real quick. So she's not always getting picked now. The devs saw that Sage was constantly getting a high pick rate, and she was also had one of the highest win percentages. So they really wanted to nerf her, because in a game like a tactical FPS shooter, you don't want to have a player or an agent that is so overpowered that they're winning a ton. Like, you want things to be balanced 50-50, hopefully, but that always doesn't happen. There are some agents that are higher, there are some lower. Viper was lower, now she's higher. So Sage has been getting nerfs, and she's still good at lower levels because she can heal. You basically get all your health back except for your shields. But at higher levels, she's less impressive because headshots happen a lot more. Those pro players, they have great crosshair placement. They're able to just tap on your head and you're automatically dead if they have a Vandal or a Phantom from close range. And this is why I just don't think that she's that good of a choice. I mean, I guess the healing is great, but you can't get healed if you're dead. So that's why I don't think she's the best agent anymore. And until we get some more self-healer agents or healers in general, she'll always be high up. So you guys won't ever be seeing me put Sage in like B, C, or D tier. She's always going to be S or A tier. And honestly, I think it's a huge step that now Cypher is ahead of her. And the reason why I put Cypher here is because he's easily the best agent in the game right now. Let's just talk about on attack, because a ton of players think that he's a defensive-minded agent. On attack, he can easily watch your flanks. If you don't want somebody pushing up into an area behind you, go ahead and place a tripwire. End of the day. He also has a ton of one-ways with his cyber cage. I'm going to be releasing a video on this soon, so if you want to stay up to date with all my videos I'm uploading daily content until we hit 5,000 subs. So just be sure to subscribe with notifications on if you're interested in that. So the cyber cages are awesome, and like I said, video coming out on that soon, and we'll touch more on that in that video. But he also gets free kills whenever somebody hits that trapwire, and this is mainly on defense, because as soon as he sets up that trapwire, the players have to play a lot slower, and so that they don't ever trip the trapwire, because that can just really foil the whole plan of that round. If you get trapped, then you normally will just go for a rotate, but then you can have your other site players, when you're on defense, just rotate too, and they can go behind them and just pick them off. So it's really easy to understand what the enemy team's going to do if they end up destroying your trapwire, if they get trapped, anything to do with the trapwire, they just try to avoid, and can really scare players off of sites. So this is why we see Cypher kind of allowing other agents to solo defend sites. He's just able to put all his utility up and then rotate to the other site, so you're able to stack that one, which is really great coming from a defensive perspective, because numbers in Valorant are huge. If you are able to have numbers in a fight, you can easily trade, and if you trade correctly, you should be the last person standing with on your team. So I mean, I wouldn't mind dying if my teammate's always going to trade for me, but sometimes that doesn't happen. But Cypher makes his case as the best agent by just being able to stack other sites and really give numbers in any fight. And then the only really con I can see with Cypher right now is there's such a long time to set up, and his credits for abilities are insanely high. Like, you have to purchase so many things, and it takes so much time that sometimes you like can't get ready for a gunfight. And of course, practice does make perfect with this. As soon as you know, okay, I'm going on playing bind, well, I know I can hold B relatively easily. Let me go do my B setup. Then it's great. And that's it with Cypher. Like, there's really no other cons. So this is our tier list. At the end of the day, the tier list. So if you guys have any changes, go ahead and let me know in the comments, because I really want to hear your guys' opinion. I didn't want to release this video any sooner because I wanted to play the game and see how the agents actually felt in game, because I know a ton of like other channels just like to throw out a tier list showing the agents right after the nerfs and buffs with the patch notes. But I feel like really looking and playing the game is going to show the best. And this is what I've seen while my time of playing. So if you guys experience anything different, like I said, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video though. And I'm going to go ahead and see you all in the next one. Peace.